This is an update on the p2pvps project. I'm going to try and do updates every 2 weeks as to progress and just kind of keep a running update now that I'm starting to make some significant progress towards an actual viable product or project, I should say. It's not really a product. So I have previously called this project RPi Broker. The RPi standard for Raspberry Pi, which is an IoT or Internet of Things device that is the focus of this project, but it doesn't necessarily need to be limited to Raspberry Pis. It can really work on any IoT device or computer for that matter that can run Docker. So I decided to change the name to p2pvps, which stands for peer-to-peer, that's the P2P part, and VPS stands for Virtual Private Server. And those are pretty common acronyms used in the industry, and I thought it really captured better what I'm trying to do with this project. And so the slogan is "Make Money, Stop Censorship." And it's really more about decentralization than it is about censorship. Stopping censorship is a byproduct of decentralization, and censorship is a product of centralization. So if you want to get more into that, I have some links below the video that support this idea of why it's important to support decentralization. So let me give you some quick updates on where I'm at with the project. First of all, like I mentioned, I changed the name from RPi Broker to p2pvps. And that includes all the domain names. So I've registered p2pvps.com, .org, and .net. .org is going to be where all the project documentation lives. It's going to be the main homepage, the p2pvps.org. The .net is going to be the test server. So be sure and check that out. I'll show you that here in a minute. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the .com yet. Maybe start a business someday using this technology. That would be pretty cool. Certainly wouldn't want to do it by myself. So yeah, that's the latest news there. The other big piece of news is that I've replaced the market application that I showed in the last update with a Vue application. So the previous one was based on Backbone.js, which is a JavaScript framework. The new one is based on Vue.js, which is also a JavaScript framework, but it's much newer and it comes with a lot of neat bells and whistles. It's much more modern and includes infrastructure for testing, which is going to be really important moving forward, and I'll talk about that more. So the test server is up at p2pvps.net. I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm going to do a little demo and show you how you can log in and create an account and add your own devices and start playing with this technology. I also created a patron page. Let me show you that right now. So it's up at Patron, p2pvps, and this is where I am. This is going to be the second home of the project. So I've got some links here to the projects, or to the repos, and this is where I've been posting all the updates. So if you want to donate to this project and you're not a JavaScript programmer or some big techno geek and you can't donate your time, feel free to donate some money. If I get up to $4,000 a month, then I'll be able to work full-time on this, and if we go above $4,000, I'll be able to hire other developers to work on this. That would be a dream come true. Right now I'm just starting this, so you know, it's just a pipe dream at this point. But yeah, this might be a more convenient place for people to come and see the bi-weekly updates that I'm going to try and do. The other big thing, last big thing, is I updated the readmes for the GitHub repositories, and in fact I don't think I've pushed them to the master branch. I think they're still on the unstable branch. Let me bring those up. So the way to get to them is the RPiOVN group on github.com, and the two projects are stored in server and client. So client, this is all the files that run on the Raspberry Pi or other IoT Linux-based device, and then the p2p.vps server. So for instance, so yeah, there's a little bit here in the README. I'm going to push the changes from the unstable branch into the master branch because I'm starting to work on step-by-step installation instructions. And so look for these if you want to actually play with this with your device. That'll be coming soon. And then of course here is the p2pvps.net. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, so I guess that'll just move us right into the demo here. But if you want to play around with this, I've already created an account that I'm going to use, but you can go to log into the marketplace, and that's the login. You can also click this drop down on account and create an account. Once you've created the account and you're logged in, you can edit your profile, change your password, your name, stuff like that. And if you forget your password, you can also reset your password. These are just some nice things that Connect CMS comes with out of the box. This thing's still running on Connect CMS. It's just using the new View Marketplace app. So anyways, this is where you can go to create an account. And then once you create an account, you can sign in. And I've got this test user that I created. And then this is the marketplace. It looks very similar to the last demo I did because I'm still using the admin LTE dashboard template, and except everything that you see here is running in Vue.js, and the last demo that I saw that looked similar to this was running in Backbone. So subtle but important difference if you're a JavaScript developer. So there's still not much going on here except for in the owned devices. This is the area that is currently working. So let me just show you a demo. I'm going to add a new device, and I'm going to give it a name and a description. And that's going to populate here, and I could add more devices if I wanted. And notice this information is blank except for the domain, and it says this information will be removed. This is info that's actually going to show up over here on the rented devices when you rent the device. This will be the login information, but just for temporarily development purposes, I'm putting it down here. So everything's going to happen on this one screen. Here you can see the name and the description I gave it. This is just a dummy review. This might go away. I don't know what I'm doing over here. And this is all blank. You notice it says not connected, and that's disabled. But what it does do is it gives you this device ID. And this is what you're going to need to register your Raspberry Pi. So here is my Raspberry Pi, and I'm logged in through SSH using PuTTY. Yeah, P-U-T-T-Y. If you don't know about it, check it out. It's really small. You can download it. Lets you do SSH connections. So I'm already logged into my Raspberry Pi here, and this is what it looks like when you log in over command line over SSH. And I'm going to go to the node directory. I've already downloaded this client repository, and if you go here, you can follow the step-by-step directions on how to do this. But I've already downloaded it. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to go into the client directory, and so I'm playing with a bunch of different types of shell. And this is I'm going to probably rename this directory to renter shell, because that's what we're creating here. Is we're creating a Docker container that you can rent your device out, and the renter lives in that little container, and they can't get to the parent operating system. They're stuck inside that container where it's safe. So right now I'm just developing the simple one. But eventually I'll write a shell with flash storage, and eventually with encrypted flash storage. I've already figured out how to do these. I just need to refine it. But so right now, this simple shell that we're going to create, all it is a shell. The user does not have sudo privileges, and there's no persistent storage. So if the Raspberry Pi loses power or it's reset for whatever, everything gets erased, and it always returns back to this known good state. So it's not ideal, but it is good for test purposes, which is what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the nano text editor to edit this device GUID.json, and again, this is all going to be in the step-by-step directions in the README. I'm going to edit this device ID and replace it with the one here, because this is the device ID that the marketplace assigned to my device. And I'm going to look at the file and verify that it's correct. Okay, and now I can run build image. And what this is doing is it's building a Docker image oh, you know what? I need to take a step back. I shouldn't have done that yet. What I needed to do was run register device. And I want to show you this status not connected. When I run this register device, it's going to take it up to 2 minutes. But that register device, what it's doing is it's going out to the server and it's getting a randomly created username and password and an assigned port. And this is going to pop up, and it's also going to say, hey, I'm here, I just registered myself. So this status is going to pop up here in a minute. Once this page checks in with the server, it'll see that the device checked in, and the status will say connected. And then if time goes by and it doesn't check in for a while, it'll say delayed, and then eventually it'll say not connected. So anyway, so now that we've registered the device, now we can run build image, and it's going to take this data it got from the server, and it's going to build a Docker file, and then it's going to, or it already built the Docker file, and it's going to build the Docker image from the Docker file, and that's essentially the shell that we'll log into remotely over the internet using reverse SSH, and that's the shell that we're going to actually rent out once I develop the software to the point where you can actually rent these things out. So that'll take just a minute to finish compiling. And this will take a lot longer the first time you run it, because I have a lot of this data cached, and it'll take a significant amount of time the first time you run it. So it looks like there we go. So that was the last command we ran, build image, and now we're going to run the image. Okay, so it's running, and we can verify that with Docker PS. So it's up. So now we're really just waiting for this screen to refresh with the info. There it is. Okay, so it says it's connected, and this information populated. This is the same information here that popped up when you registered the device, and the Docker container is running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new SSH connection, and I'm going to put in this information here, p2pvps.net, port 6022. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to hit yes. It's just saying that this is the first time it's connected, doesn't recognize the device. And then I'm going to copy this username and copy this password, and bam, I'm in. So this is actually the Raspberry Pi. This is the shell running on the Raspberry Pi, the Docker container. That's what I mean by shell, that we just created and launched. And so I'm actually going from my computer out to the internet to the p2pvps.net server, back to my Raspberry Pi, which is sitting right next to me, but it could be located anywhere in the world. And I'm tunneling through all the firewalls in between, and now I'm talking to it. I have command line. I can run, you know, this is a Linux environment. I can do anything. In fact, probably the first thing I should do is change my password. So I'm gonna old password, and then test. Doesn't really matter what it is, because this is just a demo. So there, I changed my password, so that's nice. So now, you know, the owner of the device can still access the shell because they're root and they have control of the physical device, but at least the password's different, and now as far as this account is concerned, I'm the only one who knows the password, and it's in my head. However, like I said, I can't do simple things like update the device because I don't have sudo privileges, and this can be changed. And it will change. I don't think it makes any sense to make these things and not give the user pseudo privileges when they're inside of the Docker container, and they should be relatively safe. And again, there's no files, so if I create files and I power cycle the device, this is going to go away, because every time it boots, it's going to restore the Docker container to the way it was built. And so future versions of this will have persistent storage. So anyways, that's the demo. That's how it works, and because this is up on the internet at p2pvps.net, you can try it out yourself if you have your own Raspberry Pi. You can go to the client software, follow the instructions, download the software to your client, go to p2pvps.net and create an account and log in and do everything I just showed you. And if you're really adventurous, you can go to the server repo and try and install your own server, and it will come up and look just like this. That's a lot more complex, and I will be giving people info on that, and in fact, if you are interested in that, contact me directly so that I can help you with that, because I would love to get more developers running their own development environments and playing with this software. So that's the demo. And going forward, let's talk about, I'm going to take a step back from the development and focus more on documentation, because that's what this thing needs. A lot of these ideas just live in my head right now, and I need to get them onto GitHub and share them with people in a way that they can understand. I also need to create a summary video, which I'm going to put on the home page, but more importantly, I'm going to put right here, this is just a static image. I need like an intro video, because this is a really complex subject. A lot of people don't understand the concept of decentralization versus centralization, what an IoT device is, what reverse SSH is. So I need to explain all these things. I need to create like a nice easy to digest video to like promote this project and help people understand what it is I'm trying to do. So that's the next thing I'm going to work on. And the other thing that is important but isn't going to like have any sort of visible value is I need to develop unit and integration tests. Every serious software project should have testing, and particularly open source projects need continuous integration. I'm really starting to see the light on this. Whereas if this project was to get popular and was to get a lot of contributions from programmers, I've seen some open source projects sort of, they're not dying. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. When you get a lot of people adding code, you need continuous integration in order to scale, in order to be able to add code that maybe you didn't have time to inspect properly, and it breaks your build. And continuous integration is a system that runs all these tests and says, okay, you just added some code that broke your program, like don't do that. And it's a safety net, and it's really important, particularly for open source projects. So between creating the video and updating the documentation and doing the testing and getting the testing system in place sooner rather than later, I'm going to have my hands full. So it's going to look like the project is stalling and not moving forward, but it actually is, or will be. And then once I get all that done, the next step in terms of user interfaces to develop the market and the rental view. So this view and this view needs, it's pretty ugly and bare right now. It needs a little work. So that's where I want to get to, but I got to get through this stuff first. And then lastly, I just need to promote the project. Right now, nobody really understands what I'm doing. Hopefully this demo makes it a little more interactive, and the video I'm going to put together will explain it a little better. Because I know there's a lot of people out on the internet that feel very passionate about this idea of decentralization, and they're looking for a solution, and I think I have that solution. So I anticipate once I get the word out there that there are developers that are going to want to help me with this project, and I'm really banking on that because this is a massive project. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it myself. But I do have experience with managing software projects and experience with managing open source software projects. So I'm hoping that I can leverage my experience with that, and all the code. I should also mention I changed the licensing, so everything in these repos are being released under the MIT license, which is basically do whatever you want, which includes selling it and charging money for it. The only thing you can't do is sue me. And this is the same license I believe that Bitcoin uses. and pretty much all the really popular software uses, because it's so unrestrictive. And so yeah, if this is of interest to you, feel free to run with it, make some money with it if you can. That's kind of the whole point, is being able to rent out your IoT devices and make some money, uh, while at the same time supporting decentralization and fighting censorship. Alright, so this is the update, and look for another one from me in a couple weeks.